I was born in 1990, and my life expectancy was 23 years old. I'm 24 right now, so I'm doing pretty good. Whereas a child born today with CF, their life expectancy is closer to 40. I think it's like 37 or 38 average. So,
Chris and I are brothers who were diagnosed with cystic fibrosis at an early age. CF is the most common fatal genetic disease that affects Canadian children and young adults, most severely the lungs and digestive system. As we both know that CF will eventually prevent us from traveling in the future, we've decided to take a trip to Cancun, Mexico, and experience everything it has to offer.
well, CF is a genetic mutation, basically gone wrong. So it affects several organs in the body. Like the lungs is the main thing that it'll affect. It'll cause thick, sticky mucus, which will cause recurrent lung infections and damage to the lungs and eventually death. But it also affects the liver, which is another major failure in CF patients. Clogs the liver with bile, and then you get tissue, like dead tissue, building up on the liver, which causes it to fail. It also affects the heart and the pancreas, which is why we have to take digestive enzymes. We'll be diabetic one day, but not yet. So it takes its toll on the body, but yeah.
The way I view my brother is that he's kind of like a foreshadow of the future, in that I'm very healthy right now, but he isn't. So I kind of get to see what it's going to be like when I get to his point in health, which is scary, but it's also like a cushion because, I become more prepared for it. Unfortunately, he's taken the blows firsthand. But I think we're both fortunate that we both have CF, because even though we fight because we're brothers and siblings, CF kind of connects us a little more. And our thought process is similar because of it.
Any of our friends would tell you or tell us that I've been told lots that we think differently and act differently, and me and my brother both just are different from everybody in that sense. But then again, I wonder if it's the same for someone with cancer. It's just a different lifestyle, because you have to factor in all these possibilities that could happen. Everybody's gonna die, but when you know it's coming faster than everybody else in a third of the time, you live a bit differently. So, but I don't know, my perception of death is probably the same as everybody else. If I'm gonna die, I'd rather go down on my crotch rocket at 250 kilometers an hour than suffocating in a hospital bed. It's basically what you go through in the end. You suffocate on your own mucus, so drowned in, as they call it in the commercials. We're not even supposed to hang out with each other because we carry bacteria strains and then cough back and forth and everybody gets sick. So we might look 20 on the outside, but you know, our lungs are probably like that of a 50-year-old right now or more. So 50-year-old smoker. Can't go scuba diving, no, because when you get too deep, the oxygen will expand in the lungs, and then the mucus could block an airway, and then you come up and blow lungs. So a lot of stuff like that. When I was suffering from like a lot of lung bleeds, I couldn't do a lot of physical activity because anything I'd do would start a bleed. So it was like, take it easy at the gym, take it easy doing this, doing that. I don't know, there was one year I was in and out of the hospital probably like 6 times. Like every 2 months I was in the hospital for like a infection or like a bleed in the lung, like coughing up blood. I'm always prepared like with medication wise and a backup plan in case like I blow a lung just going to bed. Sometimes I'll lay down and start coughing up blood. So 98 to 99% of CF men are infertile, and I don't even know the percentage for females, but there is quite a bit. We gotta plan more because we have to basically have in vitro to have a kid. So, which costs, you know, a big chunk of change, 10 grand, 7 grand, I don't know. If I had the money, if I was healthy too, I'm not gonna pay 10 grand to have a kid and then die a year later. So, it's a whole variety of factors that I have to, you know, put into it. The only real cure is a lung transplant. That's not even a cure, that's temporary. The oldest living like lung transplant patient was 10 years or so before the lungs finally rejected, which is really good because I think it usually rejection happens within the first like right after the transplant up until like 3 years is your highest time to have your lungs reject, and then it's either you get another transplant or you die. So it's a temporary fix.
The difference between Chris and I and regular people is that we recognize that we have a timeline, and unfortunately, most people don't. And so all of our actions and decisions that we make in life are heavily influenced by having CF and knowing that we're not going to live as long as the majority of people. But I think that it's more of a blessing than a curse because we get to fully live the way we want, and no one can really tell us otherwise.
Well, that's the thing, I just live day by day. I don't even, like, I think about the future, I'm like, okay, I need to have this in place and this in place, but I work towards the future, but I live day by day, like, whereas some people will have their whole life planned out, but I don't. And it's like, you know, shit's gonna happen, so I accept death probably more.